Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report's final live election update of the evening. I'm Kinsey Grant.
And I'm Reed Gady.
As we near the end of the night, many of the races are being called. Let's take a look at some of the results. As you can see in the Virginia Senate, our current makeup is about 21-19 with the Republicans in the lead. Now that 21st seat that the Republicans have is a major swing area for the race in this election cycle. Now if the Democrats do get that 21st seat from the Republicans and even it out at 2020, we could have some changes headed our way. Moving on, let's take a look at the 24th district for the Virginia House of Delegates. We have our district-wide results from about 83% of our precincts, putting Ben Cline, the incumbent, at about 69% of votes and his challenger Ellen Arthur at 30% of votes. So it looks like Cline is in the lead for now. We'll wait to see on the other 17% of our precincts. Moving on, we can take a look at the Virginia Senate 21st district. Right now, with about 90% of precincts reporting, we have John Edwards, the Democratic incumbent, ahead at 51%. His closest competitor is Nancy Dye at about 43%. Now looking at our Buena Vista City Council, we have our top three winners, Stephen K. Baldridge, Lisa Clark, and Tyson Cooper. If you can take a look at the other three, moving on to our County Board of Supervisors for the Buffalo District, it looks like incumbent John Higgins is in the lead with 55%, and we can report that he will be winning. We have 100% of precincts reporting in that race. Moving on to the Rockbridge County Sheriff, incumbent Chris Blaylock will keep his position as the sheriff with 91% of votes compared to his competitor Brian Rousey's 9%, and that is 100% of precincts reporting. In our Lexington race for the Soil and Water Conservation Director, both of the two candidates running for the two seats will take their positions. They will split the vote about 50-50, 100% of precincts reporting that Kip Brooks and Morris Trimmer will be joining the Soil and Water Conservation. Now in the Soil and Water Conservation Rockbridge race, right now we have 4 people vying for 2 seats. With 100% of precincts reporting, it looks like Goodbar and Stewart will be out of the race, and Richard Clemmer and Jay Gilliam will take the seats with 28% and 32% of votes respectively. Moving on, we'll take a look at...
Now that results are in, the GOP is celebrating their success. Our reporter Ford Carson has a wrap-up of the night.
I'm standing here in Salerno's where moments ago the GOP declared victory on the Democrats in the races for Commonwealth's Attorney, Sheriff, and Virginia House of Delegates member. Although Chris Blaylock was not able to join tonight, Chris Bilius, his family, Ben Cline, his family, and other GOP supporters and leaders all contributed to a very excited atmosphere. Moments ago I was able to talk to Ben Cline's campaign manager, Tyler Adams, who mentioned that Ben Cline was excited about strong numbers and optimistic about dealing with Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe. That's it from me. Back to you, Kinsey and Reed.
Thanks for the update, Ford. Outgoing Commonwealth's Attorney Bucky Joyce celebrated with fellow Republicans that Chris Bilius will replace him. Republican Party County Chair Roger Jarrell commented too.
And so I want to introduce to you the very next Commonwealth Attorney for Lexington and Rockbridge County, Chris Bilius.
Well, I'm very glad that Chris Bilius won this thing. It was a good race. Both candidates, I think put a good campaign on, and I'm just very happy that Chris won.
Well, tonight we're celebrating victory. I think it's a pretty resounding success. I think it was a blowout victory here locally, and we're actually extremely happy about it.
Late breaking news, Ohio residents just voted no on marijuana legalization today. This is the first time voters in a state election decided whether to approve recreational and medical marijuana at the same time. Under the measure, residents would have been able to grow their own 4 plants for personal consumption. Commercial marijuana cultivation would have been allowed on 10 farms. The plots for cultivation are specifically identified in the ballot item by exact location and acreage. Normal, a pro-legalization organization, says the 10-farm system would limit production, which would not benefit the consumer. Also on the ballot, a measure asking voters not to approve the marijuana legalization item. According to Normal, if voters approved both measures, the court would probably have to decide which one takes precedence. Ohio would have been the 5th state to legalize recreational marijuana after Colorado, Washington, Oregon, and Alaska. Washington, D.C. has also approved it. About 24 states allow medical marijuana.
After the break, we'll have your current local weather.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
He's on his way. He doesn't even know that we're here. Is he okay? Please tell me he's okay.
Laura.
Okay, try to call him again.
There's no signal.
Try.
Nothing's working.
Well, just
Everything's
try.
down.
This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov.
Let's take another look at the weather this evening, Andrew. What can we expect ahead?
We've had some lovely weather today, and we'll be seeing much of the same these next few days. You know, our viewers tonight have gotten to hear about politics. Now they're going to hear about weather, two of the arguably most common forms of small talk. So I think we've heard them pretty well, don't you think so?
Certainly.
So looking over at our live shot, you can see we had some lovely skies today with a high of 76 and a low 47. The barometer coming in at 30.27 inches of mercury with calmer winds and 77% humidity. Now, if we look ahead to our regional weather, we can see that across the board we have cloudy skies, 60 degrees in Buena Vista and in Stanton up there. And then looking over in Lexington, we're also at 60. We have 58. We're generally around the 50s and 60s as we get into the night right now. It's going to get a bit cooler. Now looking at our radar satellite composite, we can see that we have some cloudy skies and some rain coming in the evenings this coming week. And so you should be watching out for those showers. And now if we look ahead at our 5-day forecast, I want to point out a trend we have coming up, leading up towards Friday. We have 62, high of 62 and then 71 and 75. So we're trending upwards. But then after Friday, we're dipping back down into 63 and 55, and we're going to have a low of 34. And so we'll definitely be dipping down towards the end of the week. But these next few days, we have some sunny skies, beautiful days ahead, and that is the weather. Back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. I know I'm looking forward to that sun on Sunday, but I don't know about that 34-degree low. Coming up, we'll take one last look at the Dems election party.
And we will sit down with Professor Brotzman to talk about the elections, the results of the elections.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your GED.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future and sign up for free classes now at yourged.org.
If you store your guns properly,
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids, this isn't a drill.
Please.
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers, dirty looks.
School's out!
For summer.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Anchor Marielle LaFair is down at the Democrats' office, where their election night party is coming to a close. She spoke with Ellen Arthur, who spoke on the 24th District race.
Once again, we are here at the Democratic headquarters in Lexington on Nelson Street, where candidate Ellen Arthur has just conceded to Ben Cline for a spot in the Virginia House of Delegates. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about how you're feeling right now with the outcome of the race?
Well, of course, I'm disappointed. I would have liked to have won, but I was realistic all the time. I had a district that was heavily Republican. And I said it's like having a big red elephant that you want to move, and you have a lot of it. You have to have a lot of energy to move that inertia of that big red elephant, and we just didn't have that much energy. So, but I am not at all ashamed of our statistics and our returns. I'm very proud of the numbers that as they're coming in.
On that note, what does it mean to you to have all of these people here tonight? We saw about 30 people here at one point in the Democratic headquarters. So how are you feeling about that?
I feel wonderful about that. I had wonderful support from the local Democrats. They were very enthusiastic. They were very appreciative, too, that their voice was finally being heard. And it was wonderful representing those folks in this race.
Ben Cline may be heading into another term in the House of Delegates, but what changes do you still hope to see here in Lexington?
Well, I've encouraged the local Democrats tonight to continue letting their voice be heard, to let Mr. Cline know how they feel on these issues, like Medicaid expansion, like an increase in a minimum wage, like restoring K through 12 funding to their elementary schools. And so I still hope to see those changes come to Virginia. I don't think we should give up on those at all.
Okay. Last question now. Do you think the Democratic Party is going to run someone against Bob Goodlatte for Congress next year?
Oh, gee, now you've got me on the spot. I should probably defer on that question. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, great. Okay, that's all for us here tonight. Again, at the Democratic headquarters on Nelson Street. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Marielle LaFair. With us now is visiting Assistant Professor Kelly Brotzman. Professor Brotzman is a Washington and Lee alumna. She went on to earn her MA and PhD in Religious and Philosophical Ethics from the University of Chicago. Her research interests are focused on social justice, university community partnerships, and the role of experience in ethical analysis and moral deliberation. Thank you for joining us this evening, Professor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So generally, what are your thoughts on the implications for citizens with the outcome of the races we've seen tonight?
Well, I think citizens of Rockbridge County can expect more of the same. There won't be a lot of changes. In the race for delegate, I don't think there was much of a question as to whether Cline would win that election. But I do think Arthur made some headway that hadn't been made by previous opponents. I do think that the 2-to-1 advantage that Republicans have in the House of Delegates, in the Virginia House of Delegates, it's not going anywhere in the near future. So something like things that Arthur ran on, Medicaid expansion, raising the minimum wage, those things are quite unlikely to happen with the pretty stark advantage that Republicans have. And I do think that for Commonwealth's attorney, party affiliation tends to matter less than prosecutorial philosophy. And I do think that both of the candidates were very, very experienced. I think we'll continue to see a very effective Commonwealth's attorney office here in the county. And I do think that a slightly different approach perhaps to probationary non-incarceration alternatives might have come if Elrod had been elected, but I do think Bilius brings a lot of experience to the job.
Okay, now I want to talk a little about your experience with social justice. So you mentioned before the issues of Medicaid and the minimum wage, and those were some of, part of Ellen Arthur's platform. So how are those issues important in our area, and what do you think is going to come of, the future of those issues with the outcome of tonight's election?
Well, I think we can probably expect to see some of the key indicators that I look at a lot: poverty rates, unemployment rates, the per pupil expenditures in our schools. I think we can expect, again, to see kind of more of the same on that. Poverty in Rockbridge County is high relative to Virginia. There is a significant coverage gap. The number of people who are uninsured and who do not currently qualify for Medicaid is high relative to Virginia. And so those are issues that Klein is firmly opposed to and has taken a position on that. So I don't think we can expect to see much happening in the way of increased funding formulas for our public schools, increases in the minimum wage, decreases in poverty, increases in health care coverage. I guess the glass half full view of that is that we have a lot of great service providers here in the Rockbridge County who attempt to sort of meet these needs. They may continue to feel a strain on some of the issues that they try and help people deal with, from affordable housing to primary care. And so I do think that we can expect to sort of see stasis on some of these issues in coming months.
So could you possibly shed a little light on maybe the demographic of the average voter in our area?
Well, Rockbridge County is predominantly white. It's about 96% white. We have very low racial diversity in this area, and has always tilted quite strongly, actually, Republican. And there are, I think, voters tend to be a little bit older in Rockbridge County. We have a lot of retirees, so we do tend to have an older than average voter. That also may mean we have a little bit higher turnout. And I do think we have, a larger number than usual of people who work in agriculture. And that can lead to a different set of interests than where you have a heavy manufacturing sector. We don't have a heavy manufacturing sector. So people tend to have ties to either the sort of services area, the education area, or agriculture. So our voters tend to be, I think, middle class, working families and sort of retirees.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate having you. And that's a wrap for election night of 2015. Be sure to check all of the final results on our website, rockbridgereport.washingtonandlee.net.
And tune in Thursday at 4:30 for our regular weekly newscast. Thanks for staying updated, and have a great night.